Okay, now the preparation time has expired. The motion, welcome to the semi-final. The motion for this round is this has to require university graduates to move to economically marginalized areas for a substantial period of time after graduation. Now I'd like to welcome the Prime Minister to open the case within some minutes. Hey here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Because in rural area, there's less people who are very educated or something like that, it is very difficult to improve or develop its area. So to improve this kind of area to be better, we are proud to propose this motion. So today I have two things to talk about. First thing is why understated school is really problematic to rural area. And second one is after taking plan, how we can improve this kind of not so good situation. I talked one by one. Before moving on to that, I want to clarify the character or nature of university graduates. We believe that these kind of those who are graduated from university have enough knowledge about education or some knowledge about what they have measured. For example, English or engineering or something like that. So these kind of university graduates are well known about how education or this kind of development about factory or something like that is important. So moving to my argument. First one is understated school. Why it is problematic for this kind of marginalized area? We believe that this kind of area has been accelerated to be rural because understated school, these clever university graduates tend to go to Tokyo or Osaka or Nagoya, which have very good companies or which provides many good salary when they have jobs. So in rural area, there is not so many university graduates or very educated people. Okay.
So how do you define economically marginalized area?
Okay, we think that economically marginalized areas, it means that compared to Osaka or Hyogo are not so good example. Osaka or Tokyo or this kind of compared to this kind of many central areas, there's not so high graded standard or academic levels, or there's no good schools or something like that. We believe that there's not enough factory or there's not enough people who can make to contribute to this kind of area or this kind of things. We believe that these kind of areas is economically marginalized. So move to my argument. We think because this kind of area there's not enough factory or something like that. This is why understated school this area accelerated to be rural and understated school also because there is no proposal like this motion. University graduates, or example Kyoto University or Osaka University or Tokyo University don't know its actual situation because there's less opportunity for them to actually go to these economically marginalized areas. They only study on the desk about these areas. These areas have not so many factories or something like that. Only the desk was they do not see actual situation. So we believe that only studying on desk or by lecture is not enough to see the actual situation, such as no factory or because economically marginalized areas, these kind of areas such as in Japan, Tokushima or Kagawa, no more, thank you. So these kind of Tokushima or Kagawa or this kind of area, there's not so good private school or private school, crown school or big very good company or something like that. This is why economically marginalized areas is really difficult to be improved. But after taking plan, this kind of university graduates go to economical marginalized area for substantial period of time, and we think that substantial time means about 3 years. It is enough to know about the situation of the serious rural area, and after go to this kind of rural area, they can know exact situation such as young people have. For young people, it is difficult to have good education because this kind of area have not so many good private schools or cram schools, something like that, than Osaka or Tokyo or this central area. But by going there, they can know these kind of situations, and also can find that the price of ground in the rural area is more cheaper than central area, or there is enough labor who want to go to this kind of factory more larger than rural area. By knowing these kind of things, they can bring this kind of knowledge or experience to the where they have actually lived before moving to these areas, and they can discuss about where I have been. The actual situation was there was not so enough private schools, or there was not so good, well-educated or good example, good standard of academic or something like that. They can go to these kind of areas to build schools or factories because this kind of price of ground or something like that is cheaper than that. And even if academic skill will not be improved when we build good private school or something like that, but it is even if academic skill does not improve, but actually if we build a factory or something like that, the economy of marginalized areas will be improved because there is a factory and the demand to hire people, and we can provide salary to these people who are become employed in these areas. And in this motion said that the main point is economically marginalized areas, and if we take this motion and even if comparison, we can improve economically for better for these rural areas. For this reason, we are proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you for remarks. Now I'd like to welcome leader position within 10 minutes. Here.
Thank you, chairs. Opening government side mainly explained about importance of saving economically marginalized area, but they never explain why the university graduates have to participate in this program and why the government have to encourage this program. So we believe, in terms of our position and situation of our university graduates, we believe this motion ignores the university graduates' right or freedom to live. So that's the reason we oppose this motion. I have two arguments in my speech. Firstly, this motion is very pitfall for the university graduates. And second, why this motion is counterproductive, one by one. First, this motion is very do harm for the university graduates. So before that, I have to clear that the incentive of our wider why the students want to enter the university. We believe there's two reasons. First is a purposeful research. So students and after students enter university, they want to pursue their academic interesting or something like that. So since the university is a research institution, so they want to pursue or insist their interest and widen their knowledge about our academic field. And second is for academic background. So since there are a lot of companies actually hire the person who graduated from university, so that's a reason many people are entered university in order to get our good academic background. So these two reasons is our main purpose of our main incentive why the students enter university. Sorry, but after taking this plan, these two reasons are not be achieved. The first reason is firstly the so the students cannot pursue or interest or cannot research. So comparing our university students are forced to move to the economical management area, and but in such places there is no enough environment for their research. And because in order to pursue our research, you need a lot of experimental instruments or papers or library or something like that. But these kind of environments are not exist in our economic marginalized area. So university students who want to pursue their research don't lose their access to our to research. Yes?
You said like after a substantial period of time is finished, those people can choose their own field.
So I'll answer that later. And I will want to go back to my arguments. And second, in terms of the second is point. So when I compare the city, economical marginalized area is inconvenient, because there's no enough transportation, or there's no people, or there's no company or something like that. So although the university graduates want to take a job and make money, but in economical marginalized area, this purpose cannot be achieved. So they cannot choose the work, and they cannot do what they want. And that's so. For two reasons, this motion ignores the incentive that students enter the university, and this is very harmful to our university graduate. And second, this is counterproductive. So after taking this motion, we believe many people lose their incentive to go to the university. So imagine if you are high school students and if you're a high school student and you know the importance of the university, but you're telling that after you enter the university, you have to move to the economically marginalized area. So that is a must thing. But so if you know that information, so it is very irrational one, and so you think it is better to having a job right now rather than entering university. So although no matter you know the importance of university, so many people are likely to get a job soon after graduating high school. Yes.
You say that the purpose to go to university is to pursue the interest or something like that, but even if go to some field to the rural areas, they can go back to their interest. Why they only by this taking proposal there is no incentive to go to university? Yeah.
My partner will answer that question. So yes. So I'm moving to my arguments. So many people will lose their incentive to enter the university. So what will happen after this situation? So the quality of their workplace will goes down, because as I said before, many companies are actually to hire their students who graduate the university. So that's the reason. So that is the reason why the university is a highest education institution. So their students who belongs to the university, it has a very good knowledge and very good liberal arts, and it's very high skilled or something like that. So for this point, our studying at university is very important for human beings. But however, after taking this plan, a lot of people who work for the company will be our students who graduated only high school students. So the quality of workplace goes down. So this is very harmful to the society. So for two reasons, we are proud to propose this motion.
Thank you for remarks. Now I'd like to welcome the Deputy Prime Minister with 7 minutes. Here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Two things to talk about in my speech. Firstly, I want to talk about the justification of this motion, and secondly, I want to talk about how, after taking this plan, how those rural area is beneficial, thanks to this motion. But before moving on to my argument, I have one reiteration to the opposition side. But before that, they never engaged to our argument. But they never, in their paradigm, we don't understand how they're gonna solve that problem. It's actually occurring in those rural area, right? Rural area, right? But they never talked about this point. And they say the problem is that they said firstly because those university students go to university because they want to pursue their interest, right? And I want to talk about this in my speech. How in a parent they can also pursue their interest, and also secondly, they said they will lose incentive to go to university, right? We don't understand because we don't really understand this point, right? Because we set up a model after 3 years they can for example, if they really want to go to Tokyo, go back to Tokyo, they can work in Tokyo. No, thank you. They work in Tokyo, or they work in Osaka, and they can pursue their own interests, right? So why suddenly they lose incentive to go to university, right? If they really want to study agriculture in Kyoto University, they will study, right? So moving on to my first argument, yes.
Why 3 years is enough to reconstruct the economical marginalized area, and please explain the clear mechanism.
It's included in my speech. Firstly, I want to talk about the justification of taking this plan. We think as government they have to care all citizens living in Japan, right? For example, not only city, not only people living in city, but also they have to care rural people, citizens living in a rural area, right? So, but in the status quo, what is happening, for example, in Tokushima, right? Well, like, well, it's my goal. And because there are only like few young people living in Tokushima, and because there are not so many like jobs in Tokushima, so that's why like many people like me go to like Osaka University, and I really want to work, I really want to work in like Tokyo because there are not so many like jobs. No, thank you. And so in that situation, we think like young people, and also like young people who are like educated, who are like from university graduate students, go to like Tokyo or Osaka, and where there are many jobs, right? So in that situation, only like old people living in those like rural area, right? So in that situation, what is gonna happen, right? Like those like Tokushima, the economy will collapse, right? And also like there will be like little like elementary school, and those and there will be like no young people living in Tokushima, right? So in that situation, we think like those like old people will totally like ignored and totally ignored, and it's very like uncomfortable. It's a very uncomfortable place for those old people, right? So in that situation, we think as government they have to care. In order to care like all citizens, we think this plan is justifiable. And secondly, no, thank you, no more. Like secondly, after taking this plan, what is going to happen, right? They say that why uniquely university graduate students have to go to like those rural areas, right? Because those university, like if you graduate from like university, it will directly connect to your future, right? So for example, like if you are graduated from Tokyo University and go to like Tokushima, and for example, like if you're graduated from like a Department of Agriculture in Tokyo University, they will and if you go to like Tokushima area, like they will notice like if they will notice if I how like through using their knowledge, how to activate those like agriculture in Tokushima, and how they can like import those kind of things to like city like Tokyo or like different Osaka, and they will like activate. They will try to activate those like area, those like rural area, right? And also like during the 3 years, they try to communicate with local people, and like those like Tokyo people love like Tokushima people, right? So in that situation, they have massive incentive to actually like activate those like Tokushima city, right? And secondly, like if you're graduated from like education of like from like Tokyo University, and they go to like those Tokushima area, right? They will notice the problem, what's actually happening in Tokushima, like in education system, right? They will notice compared to Tokyo and Tokushima, the education level in Tokushima is very low, right? So in order to like change this system, like in order to change the situation happening in Tokushima, they think after they notice the problem, what's going to happen in Tokushima in the future, if they became like a politician, or like if they become politician, they try to make a policy which massively care those like Tokushima people, and they try to like solve the problem, like education problem, and they try to invest a lot of money to those like rural area, like and also like try to invest schools in rural area, right? So in that situation, like we think like those like, even though you are from Tokushima people, maybe they have like opportunity to go to like a good university, because in the status quo, only like little people can go to like a good university in Tokushima, right? Because the education situation is not good, right? So after taking this plan, like those politicians have massive incentive to try to care like those like problem, and tackle with those problems, and also like companies will notice, because the companies, also CEO, notice the problem and try to activate local people. So that's why we are very happy to propose.
Thank you for remarks. Now I'd like to welcome Deputy Leader position with the man. Stay here.
Stay here.
segments my speech is divided into. Number one, the comparative analysis on why is it unjust to push the burden to individual university graduates, and what is the appropriate form of compensation of the emergence of economically marginalized area. Second, even when we send university graduates to the economically marginalized area, why there is no incentive to reconstruct that area for that university graduates. Thirdly, why rather in our paradigm we are able to have more possibility to economically incentivize the economically marginalized area. Before going to my three segments, independent rebuttal to the opening government. Number one, they said that the notice of the situation is going to solve. Two rebuttals. Number one, we think that recognition of the problem itself and incentive to solve the problem is a fundamentally different thing. Even though many individuals understand how their economically marginal area suffer economically, that doesn't mean that they have the incentive to devote their effort and money to reconstruct the problem. They have to further explain on why just going there is going to radically gain the incentive to solve the problem and make the incentive to devote their lifetime to reconstruction of that area. Secondly, even if the recognition is a key concept of reconstruction, then we think that education in video is fine. If you think the recognition of the situation is good, we're more than happy for the university to actually make a lecture mandatory for every university student to explain how the people in the economically marginalized area are suffering economically. We think as long as recognition is a key metric that the opening government is going to be, we think that education is fine, and we cannot understand why pushing the job to a specific individual is a appropriate solvency. Number one, justification, no thank you. Let me explain what is the context of why economically marginalized areas have emerged in the first places. We think this is because of the past government's policy of urbanization and concentration of the wealth and human resources. We think the urbanization of wealth and human resources actually concentrating a specific area has made other regions economically marginalized. We think that is why the root cause of the problem is not the individual's incentive of the university graduates, but rather the past government's policy. If the root cause is a past government's policy, what is the appropriate form of compensation? We think that it's actively pushing economically marginalized area reconstruction policy and actively subsidizing in that area. For example, making a school in that arena, or for example, actually fund those individuals. We cannot understand why pushing burden to those individual university graduates is appropriate and justifies the confinement of the individual into a certain area. We think they have never explained on that justification, even the recognized economically marginal area is a problematic situation. Sure.
If your university graduation students actually experience the life in a rural area, they have massive possibility to solve this problem we face in our parents.
So, because I told you that if the key metric is a notice of the situation with education is fine, you have to further explain why going to the place and spending tens of years is being the important point. Second, even when we send university graduates to that area, why they have no incentive? We think the reason is a characteristic that the leader of opposition already talked about. For example, the people who want to research, people who want to take jobs in the urban areas. If that is a characterization, what is the clear vision of the people who went to the areas going to do? If the people want to do the research, they will not actually reconstruct or make the schools, but rather study by themselves. Or even if they want to work in the urban area, they might take a job on the remote work coming from the company in urban areas. We think that is what is the clear incentive of the visualized examples of how those characters who went to the economically marginal area is going to do. That is why if that characteristic of the people who want to do the research is go to that area, they no longer have the incentive, but rather do their own work by themselves and have no incentive. That is why just forcing individuals to go to the certain place does not mean that they're going to have raised the incentive to reconstruct the motion in the first places. Engagement. The closing government talked about that after the substantial amount of period, we think that is going to be fine. We think if that is being true, it means that those long-term reconstruction is no longer going to happen, right? Because if after the period, if they go back to urbanization, that means that they have never reconstructed the policy. As long as reconstruction takes a lot of time, and actually it's going to have to be in the long-term plan. That is why if the characteristic, their closing government's POI's characteristic is true, we think that the government's benefit do not stand. But we think that the confinement of substantial period is harmful for two reasons. Number one, they want to use the knowledge coming from the university after they have graduated soon. We think the attachment is going to pass away if you, for example, like live in the 10th years of that arena. If you, for example, graduate university in 22 and have to work in that arena for like 10 years, you have to start to work from the 32. We think those knowledge coming from the university are completely gone away, and you have that those knowledge have been into the oblivion. That is why we think as long as knowledge, if the individual want to use that knowledge coming from the university to use their job, we think that not giving a substantial period, but actually smoothly going to the company is the best choice for that individual. Secondly, we think that the youth is very important. We think energy and experience is very important. Why? Because if on the younger period you want to have a lot of like physical strength and physical like room to do a lot of work and have more experience. You can have more experience to actually absorb the experience and absorb knowledge within the company. That is why if you deprive for a substantial period of amount of time for that youth, we think that is going to hinder those chances. And we think that is why even though there are choices to go back to the company, we think actively depriving that time is harmful. Thirdly, why rather in our paradigm we have more possibility to economically incentivize economic migration area? The Labour opposition talked about how people are going to be disincentivized to go to the university, meaning that those people do not go make a big companies, but rather, for example, they do their own part-time job, or rather make a small company that no longer requires experiences. Which means that they're no longer going to be a big company, which are going to make a factory in the regional areas. Why like developed countries actually send the factories to the developing nation is because they have made the company big and they want like they want their land of the factory, and that is why they outsource the factory to other developing nations. In the same metric, we think as long as a big company are more going to be there because of the university coming from the university graduates, we think those companies are going to make factories within the economically marginalized area, and those people in the economically marginalized area are going to have more employment. We think that is fine because as long as the problem is being economical marginalization, if they get employment and they can actually have the money that they can live, for example, buy basic necessities, we think that is fun. We think that is the solvency of the economic problem that the opening government pushed the burden to, which we don't think is a necessary burden, but we have already satisfied the burden. We think from the pragmatic level of the economically marginalized area problem, we have solved that. Moreover, we think there is no justification to confine the individual into a certain area that those individuals never wanted to go, and actually violation of that will. Extremely proud.
Thank you for remarks. Now I'd like to welcome member of government within some minutes. Stay here.
Thank you, Chairperson. Today's our goal is we want to fix the city as soon as possible. So we plan to propose this motion. And there are opposite side. And is including my argument. Refutation is including my argument. So I will explain argument. Today I have one argument. When country needs cooperation from citizens, why we can justify this motion? I will explain one by one. Opposition side say the university students lose the access, but it's not true because spend time this marginalized area, we can choose any job what they want. So we don't. No, it's not true. And even if temporary, we love the opportunity or use access, or so we can justify it because if temporary limited their opportunity, it is most important, and we have to prioritize is fix up the country itself. So, and the citizen have the obligation to help others if the person or area need help. For example, tax. Everyone pay tax, and rich person pay tax more. So if the whole company need help and have to fix it in the occasion, the person who have capacity or who can support should support. Another tax example, the rich person have capacity, so they pay more. And in the case of military case, that young people have capacity to save other people. So young people join the military. In this case is also same. In this case, the capacity person is the young people and uniquely graduated people. Because graduated people has time and not yet have job, right? But already the person who have job, it's difficult to move it to be marginalized area. But young people and graduated people have time and no job, so not start a job. So and especially some also the opening side say some intelligence they have some intelligence, so the possibility is increased compared to the sending 40 years old woman or 5 years old children. It's more possibility to make up or fix it that's marginalized area. And why the helping the marginalized area is so important? No, thank you. Firstly, it's directly connected the people's life. It marginalized area. Government don't help. That people's become so poor and suffer from the poverty. And it makes the this area is damaged, make world lose the world, whole country's profit, the whole country's benefit, because if the some area marginalized, government gives so many tax, you give the money by using tax, so many, right? So it is
Take up your.
So even if we recognize it as a problem, why is it justified to deprive a substantial amount of specific individual's lifetime?
Okay, this my partner will explain later, and the country have to take over the debt, so whole citizen or all of the Japan, all country lose their benefit. So that's why we have to fix the margin area as soon as possible. For these reasons, we plan to promote